Hello guys, I welcome you to the third video for the screen printing industry. My name is Dante Haramiji and today I'm going to teach you how to create custom bleeds, custom traps, and actually I'm going to teach you how to create a knockout white. So let's get started. In the previous video, I did talk about bleeds and traps, but very briefly. Today I will go a little bit more in detail as to what traps, bleeds are, how to create a bleed for a project. So let's get start talking about our project. This is going to be a second surface printed job. So we can go and what do I mean by that is the job will look like this when it's done printing, but in my file, it's going to look like this. Now, I have my background locked, so let's unlock it. Select the whole thing again. Right click on it. Go to transform, reflect. It's the preview. Click OK. Now that we have this, we're going to need about 1/4 of an inch around the whole thing, so when it gets trimmed, it looks exactly the way it is now. So let's do it. We can do it using let's just say a stroke, for example. If I use 36, also I could use 18. I would just need to change my options and go from on the align stroke options, instead of having a line stroke to center, a line stroke to the outside, and it would be the same thing. But I find it easier to just go to object, path, let's go to offset path, 1/4 of an inch. You can do round, bevel, whatever you want. For this specific sample, I'm just gonna use the regular one, the first choice. You can use round, but I don't think it's gonna make a difference. No, didn't. So I'm just gonna leave it as it is, 1/4 of an inch. It could be 1/8 of an inch. It could be half an inch, whatever you need. For this specific example, I'm only gonna use 1/4 of an inch. Now that I have that, actually now I have two different objects. One which is the real size object, which we can keep. Just I'm gonna relabel it to say background original. Click OK. Hide it. Label the new one, and I'm just gonna say background plus bleed. Make sure to label your layers. It'll make your life that much easier. Okay, now that we have that, we're gonna need our. By the way, this is going to be printed in clear material. That is why second surface. And let's just say that it's going to have a really bright source on the back. So this black, the customer requested to be dead opaque. So the way we can achieve that is we're just going to go to our main layer, create a sub layer. We're going to name it second black. Now we're going to move this all the way to the bottom. Cool. Now we're gonna click on the background, click the option key, hold it, and then drag. Now we're gonna go to our first shape, and I'm gonna change it to. Let me open my custom swatches. User define. I'll go to custom color swatch. Merge it. Now I'm just gonna go and click on flow. Go to our attributes panel. Make sure that this says overprint fill, which it does. Now we're gonna go to this one, and we're gonna change it to red. Okay. Now we don't see a change because I still don't have the overprint review option selected, so let's just check on that, and this is what we get. Let's hide it. Now we're going to start creating the traps. And basically I'm just going to select all my objects at once, and I can just click on the blue box right here, right next to the main layer, click on it, hold click option, hold, just drag it, move it down. Now I have everything I had up there. I'm gonna make it I shouldn't have any strokes on it, so I'm just gonna get rid of it, and I'm gonna have our white stroke white, and for demonstration purposes I'm just gonna have 5 points for my stroke, and we can already see that. And actually if I go here and check on I don't need this one at all, so we can see our trap, which is represented by the blue. And if you have not seen the previous video, I'll explain to you what this actually represents. Wherever you see blue, that's where the first black will print. Wherever you see this red, which is going to be trapped by this blue, is our second black, which really will give us the opacity that the customer requested. Now, we can actually see that. If I go right here and I check these colors, we can see one at a time. So this is our first black, this is our second black, sometimes called the fatty. One of those colors, we can see them individually. Now let's start with this one. And we're gonna, it already has a stroke assigned to it, but we'll make it 5 points. And we'll set the attributes to Overprint Stroke, and we'll be able to see it right here. This is just for demonstration purposes, but even if it happens in real life, this should be fine. I mean, if you think it's a little bit too much, you can always click on it again and just maybe drop it. That's it. Let's just drop it to 4, and you know that should be just fine. Not a problem at all. But let's just say, for demonstration purposes, and this is where the custom traps and bleeds come in handy. Let's just say that this is whole thing that even, you know, just demonstration purposes, but we'll go to 8 points. Now, let's just say that, you know, you can't have this, because if your operator, you know, can't have perfect registration, you're gonna have the color sticking out. So, but this is what you need. You know, you cannot have less than 8. What you can do is, if we go to our width tool and click on this point and just double click on it, we can actually bring this portion just to maybe, like, let's just say 7.5. Let's see what that looks like. Let me bring it down. Cancel. So we can actually move this down to just half. So like that. Go to the other side. So if I click on this, it still tells me 0.11. If I go to this side, now I have 0.046. But, you know, I can have it being 5. That's not a problem. And that's one way to do it. You know, that this way you have at least a little bit on this side, and you have exactly what you need on this side. And you can do the same thing around the whole circle, or whatever shape you have. You can have as many points as you want, but be careful, because things can go a little bit crazy if you have too many too close. So that's one way to have this. You know, this is what this is a custom bleed. It's not necessarily screen printed, or at least common in the screen printing industry, but it's within Illustrator, and I mean, technically you can use anything you want as long as you make it work. Who cares, right? So this is how easy it is to create a custom bleed using the width tool, and the shortcut for that is Shift plus W. So it's real easy. Now let's just finish the rest. So for this, what I'm gonna do now is actually I'm gonna create, because I don't want to have I just want to have the bleed on the outside, not on the inside. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna create a duplicate of it. Command C, Command F to paste on top of it. Then let's just expand the. Let's just isolate the selected object. I'll click on the inside of the object, delete it, click on it again, and then we're gonna click on Swap Fill and Stroke or Shift X, and that's it. Escape out of that. Now we're just going to select it again, and like I said before in the previous video, I always like to use twice as much of, I'll give it the waist stroke will be twice as much as the one I used for the trap. In this case was a 5, so I'll give it a 10. And don't forget to click on the Overprint Stroke option, and there it is. Now let's just say that this is too difficult for you to see. Remember, you can always change the colors on the background. If you want to learn more about that, you can watch my video about custom swatch panels. But let's just say, demonstrate that in this video is that I can go and change this color and see that. Now you can see it easier. And it was mainly because this orange really was blending with the red background or maroon black background. So now that we have this, it's really simple just to create a white, and for the most part you want it to cover the whole thing. I mean, you can use any shape you want, but if you want to keep it simple, you can just click on this background, Command C, Command F to paste in front, and you can just move this new shape all the way to the top, and you can already see what that's doing. So I can pick on one of my custom whites. I can pick I can choose my light blue, my light green, which really doesn't make any sense because it's kind of difficult to see, but you can use it if you want. Light purple. I like light purple. I think it changes the colors where it's really noticeable that I have my white. So now the last thing to do would be our die line, and like I said, if I go right now, and I'm using just my straight for this one right now. Let me click it again. I'm just using for this right now a normal magenta, and it's fine. I can do that. Just don't forget to have your Overprint Stroke selected, otherwise this is what you get. Create a knockout on the graphic, so you don't want to have that. You don't want to do that. So let's just click on it again. Go to Attributes, Overprint Stroke. Let's just say that you have a 4-color process image. You can't really do that, otherwise that'll be part of the art. So what you can do is you can customize a color for die line, and just have maybe a group of colors just specifically for your die lines, and we can select that. Now we can go to our separations and uncheck the magenta. Okay, let's just click on it. Let's just click on this one. There it is. Click on this one. Okay, let me take a look at this one right real quick. So I'll fix that later. But as you can see right now, even if I remove, okay, see what's happening. Okay. For this to work, your colors on the swatches panel, even if you have a custom color, need to be spot colors. Otherwise, they'll be counted as CMYK. So now if I go back to this one, click on the custom red die line, even if I turn off magenta, it's still there. And even if I go and turn off, and then if you have the Overprint Strokes option selected, even if you come to the die line color and hide it, you don't get that knockout color or knockout stroke all around the graphic where the die line is. So let's bring it back. Let's bring back all the colors. So that's how easy it is. And like I said, I mean, there are many tools within Illustrator that don't necessarily need to be common in screen, common tools in screen printing, but if they're available to you, you can always use them in a creative way. So for this one, if you use the width tool again, you can always adjust the thickness of your stroke, the weight of the stroke at any point. So if you're in, you have a situation where your normal bleed trap, it's let's say 2 points. or let's say 4 points, but you can only have 4 points on, let's say, 3/4 of the image, and you gotta have 2 points on this side of the image instead of going, in crazy ways. You can always use the width tool to adjust your weight for the stroke, for the trap bleed, and just assign different thicknesses all around it without having to do crazy things. So now let's go to the second sample. So let's just say for this one that instead of having two panels, one panel, we're gonna have two panels. So on this panel, the light source is right here, where you see the white circle. So the way to create a knockout white is actually very, very, very simple. I'm not gonna go into what I did before, but I'm just gonna change this to a let's change it to blue for now. Let's just leave it as it is. No, actually, I'm actually gonna do it real quick. Just gonna do Command C, Command B to paste back, change it to red. There it is. Now let's just create our bleed, our traps I mean. So what I can do real quick, I'll group this one, name it logo, Command C, Command V to paste back, add a stroke of 5. Now it's always going to use whatever color you had selected last. So let's switch it to white. Same thing for this. Let me real quick do an object path, offset path, 1/4 inch. I'll get rid of this one for now, and I'll get rid of the red again. And I'm just going to select the new shape, Command C, Command B, move it back, assign the red, change it to second black, and then click OK. We'll label this one first black. Always label your layers, it'll make your life so much easier. Let's just change our stroke for the die line, change it to our, let's just use cyan for this one, attributes, Overprint Stroke, there it is. Now we're gonna go and select this circle, and we're gonna Command C, Command B to paste back, bring it below our first black, add a weight stroke of 5. Okay, now let's create our knockout white. Let's just create a copy of our first black, Command C, Command F to paste in front of it. Okay. Now I'm gonna move it all the way to the top. So there it is. Now, if I change it, I'm gonna change it to my light purple. There I have it. Now, this is where the light source will be. You could have a tinted white, which is basically a base down white, but I think in my experience, I've noticed that it's just better just to have this completely empty of color and just allow the light just to go through and really illuminate whatever panel will be in front of it. So to do that, what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna create a copy of my white circle, Command F, move it to the top. I could leave it on the bottom. So I'll show you 3 ways to do it. Let's just select this one. Select the let's just label it knockout white. Now we can always use the pathfinder and click on minus front. For this case, minus back. There it is. Or we can move it to the top and do minus front. Now, just to keep things clean, I'm actually going to create because the white will be actually, I want it to be trapped behind the 2 blacks, so I don't want any white sticking out anywhere here. So the way I'm going to do that, again, I can do it in different ways, but I'm going to show you the easiest way, and I'm going to add a trap. Now, I already have a trap here, and that's 5 points. So what I gotta do, I gotta go to my stroke panel and add, if I go to 5 points, that'll be just enough to be right here. And you wanna avoid buildup. Mainly, what I mean by buildup is you don't wanna have too many colors. They're, let's say, the exact same shape, just print one on top of each other. You're gonna have problems when printing. So we're gonna go 5 more, go to 10. Now I'm gonna go to Object, Path, Outline Stroke. There it is. Now you can do, again, you can do your minus from, minus back, or just if you want, you just select a circle, go to our Pathfinder, just click on Unite, and now if you click on both layers, and let's go to our Shape Builder tool, click on it, see how it highlights every time, whenever it detects a different shape, it'll highlight it. So just go over the white circle or whatever shape you have and click on the option key, click on it, and that's it, it gets rid of it. So now if I zoom in, now you can see the trap for the first black and the trap for the white. That only affects where the white circle or white clear window should be, but it's still here. So this is how you create your knockout white. I mean, you can use your Pathfinder to do what you just did, but instead of using the shape builder, just go and click. If your white circle's on top of your shape, do a minus front. If it's underneath it, do a minus back. But I really like to use my shape builder tool. I think it's just really interactive and really easy to use. So well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this lesson. If you want to learn more about screen printing, if you want to learn more about the Creative Cloud version of Illustrator, just leave me a comment. Don't forget to like that video, subscribe to my channel, and see you next week.